you have a pain that shows up on your lower back or your buttocks or your groin and you have been treated for your back and it just won't ease off, there is one possibility that no one has not mentioned yet. It might not be your back, it might be your hip. In this video, I will go to show you how to spot it yourself, what actually helps with the hip osteoarthritis, and at the end, I will going to tell you exactly what cartilage is made of and which building block supports it. Plus, one more thing, what most of the people get completely wrong. I see this situation constantly in my clinic. Someone has spent years on treatment for their back, massage, stretching, exercises, maybe imaging, and the diagnosis has been sciatica or low back problem, and nothing has really helped. Then I ask client to do this simple move. I ask them to rotate their leg inwards, and the painful side is stiff and really painful, and that it is. The pain was never coming from the back. It has always been coming from the hip the whole time. Maybe this sounds familiar. The pain shows in the groin area, sometimes in the side of the thigh, or in buttocks, sometimes all the way down to the knee. The location seems to shift, which makes it hard to even describe to the doctor. And because it doesn't show up where the hip actually is, no one thinks it's the hip. This is the most deceptive thing about the hip osteoarthritis. It often doesn't hurt where you point it to. And here is why I'm making this video. There are two common mistakes with the hip osteoarthritis. The first is treating the pain in the wrong place, the back when actually is the hip. The second is even more common. Once the diagnosis finally comes, people start being really careful and resting. And that is the worst thing what you can do for your hip. Let's go through both. Then what osteoarthritis actually is, three things what helps, the building blocks of cartilage, and finally when the surgery is actually the right call. The hip joint isn't where the most people point. It sits deep behind the groin inside the body. And that's why the brain interprets the pain as being at the groin, or in the thigh, or in the buttocks, sometimes down the low in knee area. The pain radiates away from the joint, which is exactly why it gets confusing with the back or sciatica or even hernia. The telltale sign is the hip internal rotation. As the hip wears, turning it inwards becomes really stiff and painful. Often, it's the first thing what goes off. Another typical sign. The first steps in the morning or after getting up are the stiffest. And stiffness eases once you get yourself to moving. Try it yourself. Sit chair with your knees bent in front of you. Slowly rotate one knee inwards and then the other. Does the side feel clearly stiff or more painful? There is a strong clue that the pain is coming from the hip, and it's worth mentioning for your doctor. Years of the treating the back won't help if the problem has been all the time the hip the whole time. But before we talk about the treatment, you need to understand what osteoarthritis actually is, because most people get this really wrong. Most people picture the osteoarthritis is like this. The joint is like a car tire what wears out when you use it. The more you drive, the faster it wears down. That imaging is exactly what makes people afraid to move, and it's wrong. The joint itself isn't the dead part, and it just wears away. It's a living tissue what responds how you treat it, and tire can't repair itself. A joint adapts and maintains itself constantly, as long as you give the condition to do so. In osteoarthritis, the cartilage surface thinks down and the joint balance is disturbed. The body tries to repair it, but the repair cannot keep the pace with the new wear. And there's the most important part. What shows you on the imaging and what actually feels doesn't track together. Some people have severe findings in the scans with barely any symptoms. Often have a small findings but a lot of pain. Pain is shaped not just by the joint but the inflammation by itself, the muscle condition, sleep and the stress. You don't treat the scan. You treat the person, and the joint is a live thing and adapting. Which brings us to the second, even more common mistake. Should you move or should you rest? This is the question what keeps a lot of people up at the night. If I move, am I wearing the joint out faster? And the answer is no. In fact, the opposite. Cartilage has no blood supply of its own. It gets its nutrients from the joint fluid. And that fluid only moves onto the cartilage when the joint moves and bears a load. Think cartilage as a sponge. Squeeze it and release it. And it draws the fresh fluid inside. The movement feeds the cartilage, rest starves it. That is why resting and being overly careful backfires. The muscle weakens, the joint stiffens, and once the muscles no longer support it properly, then the joint loads unevenly, which speeds up the wear. Fear is the most self-fulfilling. One important distinction. Osteoarthritis pain and damaging pain are not the same thing. Mild pain during the movement, what settles within 1 or 2 hours, is completely normal and safe. Pain, what clearly worsens and carries in the next day, that's when you need to adjust how you move, not stop moving. You don't wear out your hip by moving it, you wear out it by stopping. Good, so what should you actually do? 3 things what are generally mattering much. Let's rank them by priority. And these have the strongest evidence behind them. They are foundation, everything else what you build on. 1. Move regularly in joint-friendly ways. Walking, cycling, water aerobics, and swimming. These load the joint evenly without the impact. And a little everyday beats a lot once in a week. And remember, movement nourishes the cartilage. Running, jumping, and hard landings are worth approaching thoughtfully, but don't be afraid of movement itself. 2. Strength around the hip, especially the glute muscles. Your glute muscles are the hip support structures. When they are strong, they take the load from the joint and keep its movement in controlled manner. When they weaken, the joint load unevenly, and it's like a car with mismatching tire sizes. Try this by yourself. Stand on one leg for 30 seconds. Do you wobble or does your pelvis drop to the one side? And that is the sign what you need to be working to, and it's a good news. And it's a good news because there is something what you can actually do right now. 3. Manage the load. That means the weight and the pacing. Every extra kilo multiplies at the hip with every single step. Losing weight won't remove your osteoarthritis, but it can slow the progress and noticeably ease the symptoms. And that's it. Don't blame yourself. You didn't do it by purpose. And day to day, change position regularly and don't stay stuck in one posture all day long. Osteoarthritis doesn't mean that your movement is over. It means that you need to change how you move. Movement, strength, and load are the foundation. But a lot of people ask, what about the nutrition? This is the part where few people explain all the way through, and let's first go through what cartilage is actually built from, and then you can understand for yourself what supports it and won't support it. Picture cartilage as a mattress. It has 2 parts. First is the collagen network, that is the mattress springs, the frame what gives the shape and strength. Second is the water-binding molecules sitting between the springs. They draw water in, and it's that the water what makes the cartilage flexible and shock absorbing. Squeeze it and the water compresses out. When you release it, it draws it back in. Same sponge as before. What does the body build this from? And here are the 3 building blocks. Glucosamine is the raw material of the body what uses to assemble those water-binding molecules. Think as a bricks of the mattress filling its form. Chondroitin is itself one of those water-binding molecules. It acts like a water magnet, pulling the fluid into the cartilage and keeping it plump and springy. Vitamin C isn't a building block, it's a tool. The body can't assemble collagen, those mattress springs, without vitamin C. It's the key that locks the collagen pieces together. It's also one of these with an official approved health claim. Vitamin C contributed to normal collagen formation for the normal function of the bone and the cartilage. Where do we get these from food? The building blocks for the collagens are connective tissue of meat, fish and poultry, in the bone broth or in the eggs. Vitamin C comes from the bell pepper, berries and citrus fruit. So the basics first, varied food, enough of protein and vegetables. And that already covers a big share of your cartilage building blocks. The building blocks don't fix the joint on its own, but without them, your body has nothing to do the repair with. So what if none of this is enough on its own? When the surgery actually begins to be the right call? There is no single answer, but there are 3 clear signs what make the surgery realistic option. First, the pain isn't manageable by other means. Medication, physiotherapy and exercise no longer keep the daily life workable. Second, functions are limited. You can't walk to the shop, put your socks or sleep is repeatedly disturbed by the pain. And third, imaging shows significant wear, meaning pain combined with the findings, not just scan on its own. Joint replacement isn't the last result or sign of a failure. It's one of the most predictable surgery there is, and results often are dramatic in positive way. But one thing, you don't want to wait until the very end. If you go for the surgery, too much pain with the muscles too weak, recovery is way more slower. Strong muscles before the surgery means faster recovery after all. And the timing of the surgery decision of an orthopedic surgeon makes together with you. Not the pain alone and not the scan. So let's wrap up. Hip osteoarthritis pain often shows up in the groin, not where the hip actually is, which why it gets mistaken for the back. A joint isn't wearing tire, it's a living tissue that adapts. Moving doesn't wear the joint out, it nourishes it. Rest and overcaution does the damage. 3 things help the most. Move in joint-friendly ways, strengthen the glutes and manage the load. Cartilage building blocks, glucosamine, chondroitin and vitamin C. Support things on the background, and that is the nutrition first. And the surgery is a good predictable option once the daily life no longer works in other ways. And remember, you are not broken. It's a biological changes in the joint. And you can live well once you know how. This video doesn't replace individual treatment or doctor's assessment. It complements them. I made a free guide on this. Movements, self-test and cartilage building blocks laid out clear in one PDF. You can get it automatically when you subscribe at
my website SAKKINEN.com.
The link is also in description. And comment below. Were you ever told that the pain was coming from your back when it was actually the hip? I bet a lot of people recognize this. And if this one landed, I made same kind of video about the knee osteoarthritis. 5 facts that nobody tells you. It's up now in the screen and watch it next. Thank you very much for your time.